Hello, boys and girls. My name is Devontae, and I sacrifice my motherfucking time so you don't motherfucking have to. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Tonight is WarGames. Who going bomb first? You going bomb first? They going bomb first? I'm a bomb first? Bomb first, we. Bomb first when we die, please. Reconsider for you die. We ain't even gonna fight tonight, but it's my life for your life. I'm a bomb first. I am ready. You hear the excitement in my voice? You hear the excitement in my voice? That's called preparedness, okay? That's called preparedness. All right, okay. Too much cocaine. Tony, put it away. I told you, stop bringing cocaine to the WWE parties so you can fuck me over, you can make me look bad, you can make WWE look bad. We're not gonna do that tonight, Tony, because fuck AEW, it's all about WWE tonight. Okay, so without further ado, I think I should do you guys a favor, because some of you might not be aware of what the card is tonight. You may know some of the card, you may know a little bit of the tidbits of the card, but you might not be aware of what the fuck is going on tonight. So what I'm gonna do for you guys real quick here is pull up this Wikipedia article. Is it called an article if you look up a wiki, or is this a Wikipedia page? I guess you just call it a Wikipedia page, right? Let's call it a Wikipedia page. I'm too retarded right now. And we're gonna see what tonight's match card is gonna get to us. So what we got on tap for tonight is Gunther versus The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. We got Rhea Ripley versus Zoey, who the fuck cares, Starks for the Women's Championship. We got Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar. We got the Women's WarGames match with Team Bianca, Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch versus Damage Control. And then we got the main event with our homeboys. Wait for it. I gotta build it up a little time because the men, they're way more important than the women. We have, wait, what the hell name? What the fuck are the names called? I'm fucking up my whole gimmick right now. Judgment Day, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and JD McDonough head, and versus. Let's just say versus. Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, and Randy motherfucking Orton. I guess I should probably say Drew McIntyre in Judgment Day, because I guess he's not technically a part of the Judgment Day. So, okay, Drew McIntyre in Judgment Day. Let's start back over. No, fuck it, I'm not doing that again. Fuck. God damn it, I gotta get into this show. It's already getting closer to the actual show start time in itself, so fuck all this. So, are you guys pumped? Are you guys ready? Pretend I'm the guy behind you, like a silhouette rubbing on your shoulders, telling you to get ready for the big game, okay? Pretend, just like make sure it doesn't become super homoerotic, and don't put me in your gay dreams, because I'm straight in the real world and I'm straight inside your dreams. Put me in there with, like, you know, Alexis Texas, or you know, Naomi Banks, or, you know, put me in there with Caprice Styles, thick ass. Like, think of me that way. Just don't think of my dick, because that makes you gay also. It makes me gay, you thinking about my dick. I don't want you thinking about my dick. Don't think about my dick. But with that being said, folks, I think I rambled on long enough. I think what you care for is the actual review. So enough building up this bullshit. Enough of this gratuitous forte words that I'm making up at the moment and putting them together. Just go with the motherfucking flow. You already know how this goes down. Without further ado, War Games is upon us. Let's motherfucking go. Okay, see, this is why WWE is so much better at they're so much better at storytelling than AEW, especially with the plot devices they put into place to get you prepared for the following story coming up for the next few weeks. That was fantastic foreshadowing and plot device placement, what they did in this match right here. Now, the match as a whole, this was better than last year's. I like this match a lot better than last year's. It was nowhere near as many botches. I mean, yeah, the women were a little bit, like, not clunky, I don't want to say that, but it feels as if, like, you know, they weren't in the proper positions. They were kind of hesitating a little tiny bit. More in particular, Becky Lynch and Shotzi Blackheart. They were very much, like, it felt like they were anticipating a spot happen before the spot actually happened. Not to mention, overall, like, with the exception of one spot, which I think you guys know what I'm alluding to if you watch the match, the women should really stop using weapons, bro. They are not good at using weapons, and more in particular with the weapon spots. I don't know, they're just, I don't want to say cringe, because that's not the appropriate word, but they're just not good at doing weapon spots at all, with the exception of one in this match, which was actually really fucking cool. And just high spots overall, because when they actually did like the tag team moves or the tandem moves and stuff like that, or they set up to do regular spots, those were much better than the actual weapon spots. with the exception of one, which we're going to talk about. So Bayley starts off the match with Becky Lynch. They start to go back and forth and beat the shit out of each other. That was fine. Eventually, Shotzi Shotzi Blackheart. She came into the ring eventually also, and then they started to double team. They started double team Bayley. Not really though. I mean, the one thing I would say how they did this. This was very clever how they did the jumping spots with the faces, because it's like their faces, so it's kind of awkward to just have them go in there and have the advantage and essentially make it a handicap match. It's just really, really weird when it's the baby faces having the handicap advantage, right? But the majority of the time, how they actually did it was like the superstars were kind of like set up for spots the majority of the time while the clock was running out before it actually made it to the end here for the superstar to come out. They did that for almost all the women that came out, whether it was like Io, whether it was Kairi, whether it was Asuka. I like how they did that also. That was really, really clever. But Shotzi came into the ring again, very clunky for the most part. Shotzi's really bad, bro. I'm sorry. She made up for some spots towards the end of the match, but like when it comes to her and like a one-on-one situation, she's not good at all. And then Io came into the match. You know, she came in with a trash can. She started to clear house a little tiny bit. Eventually, Bianca Belair came in. She used her whip to whip the shit out of Bayley and Io, and which was really clever. It was one spot they did where she was whipping them, and then like Bayley and Io kind of grabbed her braid while she was on the turnbuckle, and they yanked her down, but you know, Bianca did a backflip, and then she held on to it. Well, they still had her braid, and she pulled them in both in for a really nice looking double suplex by herself. That was actually a really cool spot. Eventually, Kairi Sane came into the ring, and she was kind of clunky herself also, but you know, she started to fight a little tiny bit. She brought some candlesticks into the ring. Eventually, Charlotte came into the ring, and then she started to fight the girls, and then Asuka came into the ring. She was kind of like first she brought in candlesticks and she was kind of teasing the crowd a little tiny bit. Then eventually she brought in the table, which popped the crowd. That's when the WarGames match began. One side had candlesticks, the other side didn't have candlesticks. And this is when it actually kicked up into high gear, because before this match wasn't really all that good. But once the WarGames match actually like started between the four teams, or the two teams with the four competitors on each side, that's when this match really got fucking good. They killed each other in this match. I'm not gonna lie. They beat the fuck out of each other in this match. And actually, before Asuka came in, I think that's when the Io spot happened, if I remember correctly. It wasn't when the match fully happened. It was before Asuka came in. So Io Shirai, and this was actually really clever how they did this. This is the only good weapon spot in my opinion. So Io climbs on top of the cage, right? And she has the chain still in her hands, because she came into the match originally with a chain, which looked really clunky. She was wrapping it around the girls. The girls were just letting her wrap them around the chains. It was really stupid. I didn't like that spot at all. But the chain did come into equation when she climbed on top of the steel cage while the girls were fighting each other. I thought it was going to be your stereotypical, you know, Io does a moonsault onto them. Nope, that was Charlotte. What Io did instead was she had the chain in her hand, and she's like climbing on top of the cage, and Dakota Kai is on the outside of the ring, right? And Dakota pulls out a trash can, but it's a trash can with handles on the side of it. So Io lowers her chains down, and then like Dakota, like there was a clamps on the chains, and then she clamped it onto the trash can, and then Io kind of like pulled it up like a levy almost, or like a lever, or whatever the case you want to call it, like a rope. If like you're at a construction site and you have a rope and someone to put something on the rope for them to bring it up to the roof or whatever the case may be. Well, she pulls up this trash can, she puts it on her entire body, which was incredibly fucking dangerous, because you can't see where you're fucking going. And if I'm that fucking high and I can't see where I'm going, no, fuck you. I remember Rikishi talking about that when taking the chokeslam off the Hell in a Cell in Armageddon. He was like, one of the scary spots wasn't necessarily the chokeslam off the Hell in a Cell. It was more so going into the bed of the truck with the hay in the back, not knowing where he's falling. And the same thing could be said about Io. She could not see where she was going. She puts this trash can on top of her entire body and does a crossbody with the trash can onto the pile of people on the floor. That was a dope ass spot. I can't even front. That was a dope ass spot. Especially with all the camera angles that was showing her jump off. That was real. It was one camera angle where all you see is the crowd of girls, and you just see Io fucking fall down with the trash can. It was really cool. That was a really, really, really cool spot. Probably one of the best spots I've seen in WarGames so far. But eventually the girls started to go at it a little bit more. You got some chair spots. You got some well, I wouldn't say the table spot necessarily to the end of the match. I will say though, it was a spot also where like Asuka was gonna do something, because they like So they put the trash can on top of. Well, first they did this really cool spot where they had Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch in the center of the ring. They kind of like wrapped them around with the chains that Io had, and they all like in each four corner, kind of like the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega when they set up for their BTE trigger or whatever the case may be. But they were all each in four corners, while Bianca and Becky were kind of like tied together in the chain, and then they all simultaneously came with a front drop kick. They look really cool. I like that spot also. That's what I mean when I say like they didn't have to use all the weapon spots. Like it was spots like that they did that was really cool. It was another spot where like Asuka, they put a trash can on Becky Lynch and Asuka was getting ready to jump on her when Shotzi Blackheart met her up on the turnbuckles, and then like Asuka blew some blue mist in her face. And I still don't like the fact that they don't play into any of the mist spots, because that's the mist in itself could be some really good storytelling for Asuka. You don't have to keep blowing different colors just for the sake of it, because those colors do have meaning. I wish she would just stick to the green mist and then do the different color mist to have the effects that the mist would actually, you know, allude to, or they have a connection with. You would think Triple H, being the, you know, student of the game, would, you know, take much more heed to that. But I hate when she does the different color mist spots. They have meaning, dude. Just do the green mist, my God. But yeah, eventually she did that to Shotzi Blackheart. She had a front drop kick on Becky Lynch with the trash can on top of her. Eventually it did get to a spot because they were all battling throughout the match, and Charlotte and Becky were helping each other out with double team spots. I mean, you can clearly hear Becky also because she's so fucking loud on multiple occasions, kind of doing like a countdown to each spot. So like her and Charlotte would do like a suplex to Io Sky. You can clear as they hear Becky Lynch counting down so they can be synced up to hit the suplex. They did the same thing to Kairi Sane with a powerbomb. It was one early spot they did to Io also, where they kind of like, or I think it was actually Charlotte. I think she powerbombed Io into the cage, and then Io just like slid down the entire wall of the cage. That looked really, really gnarly. That did not look like that was fun to take. But eventually Charlotte and Becky, they did all these double team spots, and they like look at each other in the face, and Becky kind of comes into Charlotte like she was gonna fight her, but they started to hug and everything. Eventually it got to a spot where while they were hugging, they got rolled up, and then eventually by I think Asuka and Kairi, or maybe Io and Kairi, but they fought that out. Eventually Charlotte went on top of the cage and she hit a big ass diving moonsault off the top of the cage, got Io right on the fucking head. So she pinned Bayley, which was ironic because it looked like Io took the brunt of most of that, her long ass legs. Eventually we get to the finish of the match where because this entire match, by the way, Bayley is like breaking up. I don't think I've seen any of the other girls break up the pinfalls. It was just, as far as damage control, Bayley literally broke up every fucking pinfall. Literally every goddamn pinfall that put damage control in a position to lose. Bayley broke everything up, which is great foreshadowing. Want to hear even better foreshadowing? It gets to a spot in the match where all the girls are now taken out. You know, Asuka, she took a fire extinguisher from Bianca Belair after a miss that she tried to attempt on Shotzi Blackheart again. All the girls were laid out. Shotzi's taken out, Io's taken out, Asuka's taken out. Well, actually, Kairi was being set up for a spear from Charlotte Flair, and Bayley comes out of nowhere and she shoves Kairi out of the way, and she takes the spear herself, right? And then eventually Bianca Belair hits her with the KOD. Then they pick her up. Well, then Shotzi hits her little senton thing that she does. And then eventually they put her on the turnbuckle, and then Becky Lynch hit the manhandle slam off the turnbuckle through a table, which pretty much was the finish of the match. This was a good match. This was a good match. I like this. Now, again, before the War Games match actually started, it was relatively slow. I didn't like how slow it was. The girls are doing very, very awkward kind of spots with some of the weapons. But once the War Games match actually started, that's when that shit really, really picked up. And again, spot of the match, maybe even spot of the night, I'm assuming. I mean, like, you know, taking out the fact, I mean, we haven't seen the rest of the show yet, so we'll wait. But so far, spot of the night, and one of the best spots I've seen so far, maybe this year, was that trash can spot with Io off the top of the cage. That was really, really fucking cool. And again, the plot device pieces, dude. Bayley was trying so fucking hard to take care of her team. The amount of pin coverage she kept breaking up. She took the spear for Kairi Sane, you know. She was checking on her team the entire time. She's the one that kicked off the War Games match. Like, she took a lot of fucking abuse on behalf of her team, and yet she was the one to lose the match. And you know they're going to hold her accountable for losing the match, even though she was the one that was saving the match, even though she was the one sacrificing herself for her team on multiple occasions. She's going to be the one to be the odd man out, in my opinion, which, you know, from a character and story standpoint, that's what makes a great babyface when it's all said and done. And when that time comes, because I thought they were going to do it tonight, but we'll wait and see. That's good. Don't do it tonight. Don't do it tonight. No reason to do it tonight. Don't let it get buried throughout the rest of the card. It's going to be very, very peculiar how this is going to go down once the time comes when Bayley inevitably gets kicked out of Damage Control. Because, you know, if you tell the story even more of her sacrificing herself throughout WarGames and then her doing more spots throughout the rest of the month or so, when they inevitably break up, this is going to make it even more heartbreaking for Bayley. So, great plot devices, great foreshadowing, and just solid match overall. This was much better than last year. But with that being said, Gunther and Miz are about to start their match right now, so let's get to that. Good match, though. Good match, ladies. I don't know why I thought they were going to go the whole standing ovation route with the Miz. But this was fine. This was solid. I wouldn't say this was one of the better matches from Gunther. Quite frankly, when you think about it, with all due respect, I like this match more than the Matt Riddle match at Money in the Bank. But it's definitely one of Gunther's... this was better than the Drew McIntyre match at SummerSlam also. It did help because the crowd was very, very much into this match. And the Miz... God bless the Miz. Look, you gotta give credit where credit is due with the Miz. He tried so damn hard to appease the IWC, and he was doing fine with the moves and what he was doing for spots. But man, Miz, don't go out of your way to appease, because they're still gonna hate you regardless, bro. Like, okay, yeah, this crowd tonight was very, very much into your match, but if it doesn't really fit your style, you don't have to go out of your way to appease these doofuses, these losers, you don't have to do that, bro. Like, stick to your style. If you're good at storytelling, that should be enough, and I think his moves didn't really matter in comparison to what he was doing in regards to his actual selling in itself, because Miz was selling his ass off in this match. But he did do some spots that were very unconventional with the Miz. He ended up doing some of Daniel Bryan's yes kicks. That's pretty much Miz's style for the most part. But he did pull out a springboard, which I never seen Miz do before. I mean, he got kicked in the face for his troubles, but the fact that he even attempted that. He even hit Gunther with a Frankensteiner at one occasion, and then he actually hit him with like a tilt-the-world DDT. Spots like that. It's like, I appreciate what the Miz is doing, but it's very much not his style, and it looks awkward as fuck, even though he did it correctly. It's like when John Cena did the springboard, like stunner for an example. It's just not, it doesn't fit you, dude. So you don't have to go down that path, because I know what he's doing. He's like, oh, I'm in the ring with Gunther. I need to show that I belong. And maybe that could be a part of the storytelling. Now, I'll give him that. I'll say that. But man, it just felt really weird watching the Miz wrestle in that manner when it's like, dude, that's not your style. You don't have to do that, bro. But nevertheless, though, he took it to Gunther. Gunther, as I said, kicked him in the face a couple times. Big boots. He actually gave him a powerbomb, and Miz got out of it. The Miz was selling his ass off, and there was certain spots and certain times where you kind of thought the Miz had it. There was one spot where Miz took off the turnbuckle pad. He exposed the turnbuckle, and the referee went to go put the turnbuckle pad on. And see, this is what I mean about the Miz being a good wrestler. People say he's a bad wrestler, but how many wrestlers would have known to... And props to Gunther also. You'll have wrestlers who would try to go for a low blow, like obviously what the Miz was attempting, and like they'll fuck it up, and they'll just like, oh my god, let me do another low blow again from the same position. No, the Miz and Gunther, clearly Miz was supposed to hit him with a back low blow, and he fucked up, and the camera angle was in the right position. They kind of got lucky also, because it kind of did look like he was like attempting to kick him in the knee. You could tell Miz was going for a low blow though, but from the camera angle and the way Gunther sold it, it looked like he just kicked him in the knee, so they just went with it. He turned back around, Gunther sold his knee, and it was even better because Miz was working the knee the entire time also, hit him with a Bret Hart-like sharpshooter on the ring post. He was very influenced by Bret Hart in this match too, from what I could tell. But he ended up kicking Gunther in the nuts, and then he hit him with a skull crusher finale, and then he almost got a 3 count. And you see people in the audience, and they looking so shocked and everything like that. It's not so much like, they should be shocked that someone kicked out of someone's finisher, but in particular, the Miz's skull crusher finale. I mean, when was the last time you won a match with that? I mean, maybe recently on Raw to build up for the match with Gunther, because he's in that match and he's in that build. But I mean, like, outside of that, if that even occurred, like, when was the last time the Miz won with the skull crusher finale? I can't even remember. That was, I mean, I forgot that was even his finisher. In effect, you know, it being a finish, but Gunther kicked out again to no one's surprise, except for the audience. But okay, whatever. They wrestled for a little bit longer before Gunther hit him with a body splash. I like the fact that Gunther didn't fall directly on his knees, because it was like, okay, well, I'm selling my knee right now, so hey, I shouldn't be doing this. So he hit him with a body splash, and then he eventually put Miz in a Boston Crab. Miz was going to the ropes, but eventually Gunther pulled him away from the ropes, and I thought they were going to go for a little bit longer, but then Gunther put his knee in his back, and he kind of turned it into a lion tamer, and he got Miz to tap out to that, which was cool, because, Gunther, he doesn't have a set finish. Like, whatever, like, he'll beat you with a clothesline, he'll beat you with a body splash, he'll beat you with a power bomb, he'll beat you with a Boston Crab. That's the uniqueness of Gunther, and to no one's surprise, he ended up retaining this Intercontinental Championship against The Miz. Again, this was a fine match. I wouldn't say it was one of Gunther's better matches. Again, I wouldn't say that this was on par with any of his matches with Sheamus. Obviously, his matches with Chad Gable, his matches with Bronson Reed, or any of those guys, it's not even fucking close to any of that. But at the same time, given who his opponent was, and I like The Miz, but just looking at it strictly from an in-ring perspective, Miz isn't really one of the best guys in the ring. He did his best, and I think those guys went out there and delivered a solid match. I'd probably say this was more of a Raw-esque type of match, but, they did their thing, and it does help that the crowd participation and them being so hot for The Miz, it just goes to show you how good of a wrestler Miz is. When he wants to get the crowd in the palm of his hands, he can do that. And even credit to Gunther for being that good of a heel to kind of break their spirit a little tiny bit with The Miz. The only thing that was kind of weird was the fact that, again, I kind of thought they were going to go the standing ovation route with The Miz, but they didn't, and it is what it is. But again, solid match. I mean, a Raw solid match, but a solid match nonetheless. So, like, this match was Santos Escobar and Dragon Lee. I'm not going to say it was disappointing in a sense that the match was bad, because it wasn't. I'd be doing a disservice to say that this match was bad. But it was disappointing because I had higher expectations. There was so many people that I was seeing like on social media this week, when doing reports and stuff like that, or doing commentary videos and having to look up stuff. In the midst of doing stuff like that, there was so many times I've seen comments of people talking about, today, by the way, Dragon Lee and Santos Escobar, they're gonna, have a new age Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Halloween Havoc 97 match, which would be very funny considering the Halloween Havoc match happened a couple of weeks ago. That this would have been its 26th anniversary since that actually happened. So I went into this match actually thinking that was going to be the case. Like, oh, we're going to get a new age Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero. And even though the match wasn't bad, it wasn't bad by any means or by any stretch of the imagination, it did leave more to be desired. And the way they actually did this match kind of told me that, like, was Carlito really supposed to be in this match? And I don't know, it feels like Carlito really was supposed to be in this match and there was an actual injury angle, you know what I mean? And he actually suffered through something and took him out of this match, because this match more so was just just prolonging the actual character development of Santos Escobar. And I will say this also, not so much Dragon Lee, maybe in other matches, but in particular Santos, it is so fucking evident and so obvious. It's funny how he's in the feud with Rey Mysterio and he's like, oh, I'm super influenced by Ray and stuff like that. No, Santos is so influenced by Eddie Guerrero, it is not even funny. It was one spot that they did, actually two spots that they did from the Halloween Havoc match, the whole little, but I guess I don't really want to say this spot because it's not as if, maybe this match hasn't happened or this spot hasn't happened a couple times with Dragon Lee, but the whole Hurricanrana, tilt the world backbreaker spot that Eddie did of Ray. But it was one particular spot that, and maybe you see it so many times in AEW, and this is why I fucking hate AEW, because they do everything underneath the sun. This could have actually meant more, especially with how the audience was reacting to the spot. But you have that fucking loser, Penta Zero Miedo, or whatever his name is, let go of my ego. And like every fucking match he's in, they're always trying to take off his mask. And you have this match right here where it's like Santos is trying to take off, Dragon Lee's mask, and the crowd is like calling him an asshole. They're like, fuck you, Santos. And it's like, yeah, I like how they're reacting to it. I like the atmosphere, but that should have meant a hell of a lot more, because it's pretty clear that Escobar was kind of paying homage to a lesser degree to what Eddie was trying to do. What the hell did I do that? That Escobar was trying to pay homage to Eddie Guerrero, to what he did to Rey Mysterio on Halloween Havoc. I mean, to the extent that he damn near took fucking Dragon Lee's mask off for real. A piece of his mask actually broke off in the middle of the ring too. And you can actually kind of see his face a little tiny bit. Like, he really, because that's what Eddie did to Rey too. Eddie ripped Rey's mask. Like, he went so far that you can see Rey's face damn near in the mask also. If it wasn't for the fact that Rey had like little face paint underneath his mask, you can kind of see Rey's face a little bit also. But essentially, you know, you get towards the finish, and again, this sort of kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't like the spot where like Dragon Lee was trying to go for a sit-out powerbomb, and then like it kind of looked like he was gonna drop Escobar because he didn't have him, you know, he didn't grasp him tight enough, and then he just muscled through that shit and hit a sit-out powerbomb. That was really cool. And then Escobar also, he hit like Dragon Lee, because like Dragon Lee was gonna go for the Destino move he does, like, you know, the fucking Ultimo Dragon move. I forgot where the Destino came from. I think it's from the Japanese wrestlers, but he attempted it on Escobar. Escobar hit him with a super kick and turned his ass inside out. That was a really cool sell job. But it came to the finish where like he was gonna go for it again, and like Santos made him land on his feet, and then he hit a Canadian destroyer, or I guess maybe a Mexican destroyer in this case, and then he hit him with the Phantom Driver and got the win, just like that. The match probably went for like a little less or a little under 10 minutes. And again, it wasn't that it was a bad match. It was a good match. It's just that it being short, them kind of, like Escobar took like 80% of this match. Like, it was like Dragon Lee was selling for the majority of the match. It just kind of felt like it was just nothing more, just to kind of like, you know, put over Santos Escobar, which is good. I like that, but you know, I was kind of wanting a good match between these two. I was expecting a lot more. By the way, Santos Escobar theme song, is it just me? Maybe you kids don't know this because you weren't watching wrestling back then, but Grandmaster Sexay, when he was Brian Christopher, you know, when he was in the Cruiserweight division back in like 97, early 98, his theme song, is that Santos Escobar's theme song? It sounds like he remixed his theme song a little tiny bit, but maybe that's just, no, that's not just me. That's Brian Christopher's theme song. You know, he just kind of made it a little bit more updated and then like kind of sped it up a little time. But that's Grandmaster Sexy's theme song when he was doing his Brian Christopher stuff before Scotty Too Hotty, or Scott Taylor, or however you like to refer to him. But yeah, Santos Escobar, he won the match, and his character development is good. I mean, I like the fact that he's about as close to Eddie Guerrero as you could possibly get. Not just from a move standpoint, because he wrestles like literally almost exactly the same as Eddie in 94, or just a little bit of more of an update stuff, you know, like the Canadian Destroyer and super kicks. But as far as his style, it's very, 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 very similar to Eddie's. And then his personality, you can say that it's incredibly influenced by Eddie also, whether it was Eddie in 98 when he was kind of abusing Chavo Guerrero, or even in 2005 when he was doing this stuff for Rey Mysterio. You know, you can clearly tell Santos is very, very, very influenced by Eddie in that regards. But yeah, I was just expecting more from the match, and you know, kind of disappointing a little tiny bit. Not disappointing that it was a bad match, but disappointing because I was expecting more. Well, I mean, now that the main event is about to come up, I mean, I can safely say that we now have our worst match of the night. And it's not to say that this match was bad. I just mean worst match of the night in comparison to the other matches. I mean, Zoey Starks, she came off too much like a try-hard in this match. Does that make any sense? If you watch this match, you know what I mean. She tried way too hard. I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to say this. Like, if you've seen the spots that she was trying to do and she was kind of fucking up a little tiny bit, she just tried too hard. She should have just kept it really, really simple, because, man, she looked goofy. And in other instances, you know, with the constant yelling and screaming like a fucking banshee. And I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me. It just felt like a Raw match, because it's like, with all due respect to Zoey Starks, and I'm not trying to shit on her. I mean, you can clearly tell she went out here and she tried her best. But man, it's just from, how do I put this? Like, you guys, okay, so you know how you watch Dragon Ball Z? And like, you know how they have their power levels and stuff like that? You know, the whole meme, it's over 9,000. Okay, it's like you're trying to convince me that Krillin can go one-on-one up against Cell. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, you're trying to convince me that fucking Yamcha can go up against Frieza. that's why I just had such a disconnect with this match, because that's what it felt like. Like, Zoey Starks, in terms of her position in the company, versus Rhea, like, outright, this is not even arguable, even more so than the wrestlers on SmackDown, like a Bianca or a Charlotte. Like, Rhea is the #1 female in WWE, and it's not even fucking close. She's arguably one of the biggest wrestlers, period, in WWE, which means she's one of the biggest wrestlers in the world, and one of the more notable figures in professional wrestling. There's no woman in professional wrestling today, period, from a mainstream standpoint, that even remotely comes close to Rhea Ripley in terms of positioning and popularity. And to see someone like a Zoey Stark go up against her, it just felt so fucking out of place. You know what I'm trying to say? So that already took me out of the match, because it just, like, there was nothing remotely believable about Zoey Stark even remotely coming close to beating Rhea Ripley. And it felt like she went in this match to kind of like do certain spots to kind of, I don't know, get herself over with the crowd at the expense of Rhea. And she just felt miserably, bro. She felt so miserable. It was one spot in particular where I don't know what the fuck they were trying to do. It looked like they were trying to go for an out of nowhere midair arm drag. That's what it kind of felt like. But Rhea Ripley, she took her on the turnbuckle, and then she tried to go for like a top rope arm drag. That's what it looked like. And Zoey Starks was trying to reverse it in midair and just completely botched it. I mean, completely fucked up, like, period. And it's like, these girls, dude, they do this all the fucking time. And I'm not going to say Rhea Ripley, because Rhea Ripley, it's not just her character. She does wrestle in a very similar vein to like a Gunther, and the effect that she just doesn't have any bad matches. Like, she doesn't fuck up. She doesn't know how to fuck up. I don't think I've ever seen Rhea Ripley botch a move before in my life. I could be wrong about that. Maybe she has, but I don't remember Rhea ever botching a move. She's very Gunther-like in the sense that you could put her up against anybody and she could fucking kill it. And it felt like Zoey Stark was trying to, like, I don't know, it felt like she was trying to prove herself, but she just did way too much, and she was fucking up spots. She was clunky. She was very, I don't know, man, like very like Shotzi and Becky in the WarGames match, where it just felt like she was anticipating way too many spots, and just she was just really, really bad in this match. Zoey was very, very bad in this match. She tried, you know, certain spots she did pull off to a certain degree, but it was pretty much Rhea carrying this entire match for the most part. And you know, the match ended out of nowhere also. It's like, you know, Rhea tried to go for a riptide the first time. Zoey got out of it. She hit a German suplex, and then it just went directly into a spot they were trading blows. And then Rhea hit her with a headbutt, put her into the riptide, and then retained her title. And it was over just like that. Another match under 10 minutes. And, you know, again, this wasn't anything that was good. Could have been on Raw for all I would have cared for. And this is the second year in a row. I mean, granted, this was a shit ton better than what the fuck Ronda and Shotzi were trying to put out last year. That was the worst match of the year, probably. But I mean, yes, the worst match of the year. So am I really, what am I comparing it to? You know, like, okay, cool. I mean, you know, I'm comparing the peanut butter jelly sandwich to shit when I was expecting something a little bit more. But it is what it is, man. At least the match is over with. But this is by far easily the worst match of the night. Okay. So what? Okay. So you know what? So we all know what we want to talk about. We all know what we want to discuss in this match. And it's not the match in itself. It's the conclusion to the match. And I don't mean the conclusion to the actual match in itself. I mean the fallout after the match. All right. So let's talk about the match first, and then we'll talk about everything else afterwards. Because like I said, I'm not going to go too deep. I'm not going to deep dive too much into this in regards to CM Punk's return. I want to make that a separate video, but I do want to give my consensus about this real quick first. So let's just talk about the main event first. Let's just do that first, okay? So WarGames. You started off with Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. They're beating the shit out of each other. They're doing their thing. Eventually, JD McDonough comes into the ring. They have the advantage. I forgot the weapon JD McDonough brought into the ring. I think maybe kendo sticks is what he brought into the ring. He gave one to Finn Balor, I believe. And they started to beat the crap out of Seth Rollins. Okay, eventually Jey Uso comes to the ring, super fucking over. Throughout the match, they're just saying yeet over and over and over again, while Uso's throwing a shot. Even the other wrestlers are throwing shots, and they're going yeet at the same time. Eventually, Damian Priest comes in the ring, He was kind of overwhelmed a little tiny bit by Seth and Jay, but eventually he got the upper hand. He had like this little fucking pipe or a baton he pulled out of his pants or sock or boot or whatever. And then Sami Zayn comes into the ring and he evens the odds a little tiny bit. He kind of clears house. You know, I think what did he pull out? I think he pulled out a pipe from the cage, if I'm not mistaken, or something along the lines of that. And he beats the shit out of them. Drew McIntyre comes in and he like quickly disposes of Sami. He quickly disposes of Seth Rollins. He really wants Jey Uso, and he gets in the ring. He meets Jey inside of the ring, and he kind of overwhelms Jey a little tiny bit. Okay, I don't think he even pulled out a weapon, or I don't remember him pulling out a weapon. Cody Rhodes comes out. He tries to even the odds. He pulls out a bull rope in homage to Dusty Rhodes, and he takes them out. He even has a little bit of a confrontation with Seth Rollins for a little bit, but he was like, let's work together just one night. And he beats up JD McDonald with the rope, and then he kind of low blow. He hits Finn with the ring bell or the cowbell, and then him and Seth kind of have like a tug of war over the rope, or they each had one end of the rope, and then like they low blow Finn Balor. And then Dominic Mysterio comes out and he's booed to hell and high heavens. They are booing the shit out of this kid. And, you know, they kind of get the upper hand a little tiny bit. Again, they overwhelm the babyface team. There's no Randy Orton even when the countdown clock ticks down to 0. Seth Rollins throughout the match also. He's kind of confronting Cody Rhodes. He's asking, where is Randy? Where's Randy? Where's Randy? Eventually, you have this spot, which I thought was really fucking unique, where Rhea Ripley brings out the briefcase, Damian Priest's briefcase, because they ended up putting Seth Rollins, or Damian Priest that is, puts Seth Rollins through the table with the Razor's Edge. And what's her name? Rhea Ripley brings out the briefcase, and it looks like she was going to cash in, or she was going to help Damian Priest cash in his briefcase in the middle of WarGames, which is really fucking unique, really creative. But Randy Orton does make his return, looking jacked to all shit, reminiscent of Triple H in 2002. Very reminiscent. Triple H was super fucking lean, and he comes back. And I remember they made a remark on the PWI magazines back in 2002 when I read in school, and they were like, oh, it looks like he ate Rhino. It looks like Randy Orton ate Triple H and Rhino. Holy shit, is he jacked to the fucking gills? Well, he comes out, and he doesn't necessarily take any bumps in the match, which is very unique. He didn't take a bump. You know, he kind of, he hits a couple of power slams. He, takes out JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio. Drew McIntyre kind of makes eyes with Randy Orton. You get a holy shit chant. They meet each other in the opposite side of the ring. And then Damian Priest comes and they overwhelm Randy Orton. But again, he didn't take a bump. They just kind of like beat him down a little bit into the corner. Eventually, Cody Rhodes helps out, and all the baby faces help out. And then this wasn't really a match, a WarGames match. In my opinion, nothing really happened during these last few encounters. They kind of buried Judgment. I mean, I wasn't the only one that thought that, right? After Randy Orton came into the ring and he didn't take a bump, they buried the Judgment Day. Like, they didn't take any offense after that. Like, once Randy got jumped by Drew and Damian and the rest of the babyfaces got up, they just beat the dog shit out of Judgment Day. I mean, you did get a pretty cool spot where, like, JD McDonough looked like he was going to escape the cage, because, like, he was surrounded by all the baby faces, and it looked like he was going to escape the cage for a second, but he was caught up there by Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins, and they threw him off the cage into Randy Orton, who caught him in an RKO, which that was a really cool fucking spot. But then afterwards, they just beat the shit out of everybody, man. And then they ended up hitting, I think Cody hit a crossroads. I can't remember. I think it was on Finn Balor, but I don't want to say so. Either it was Finn or Dominic, but I can't remember. And they ended up getting the win off of that. And that was essentially it. That was by far one of the worst WarGames matches I've ever seen. Like, it wasn't throughout the rest of the night. I guess I can say the same thing. Like, this is a running thing throughout the night. It wasn't as if it was a bad match. Now, those closing minutes were bad. That was genuinely bad. I don't care what anybody says. That was genuinely really, really bad towards the end of the match. I did not like anything that happened towards the finish, and I still wholeheartedly believe they buried the fucking Judgment Day. That's what I believe. I think they did, honestly. Now, granted, people are gonna be like, oh, well, Devontae, don't you understand that Finn Balor and Damian Priest are tag team champions? Dominic is NXT champion. Rhea's the women's champion, and Damian Priest is the Money in the Bank winner, and they're the biggest things in WWE from a faction. Yes, I understand that. I'm not saying that they're buried overall in the context of like their characters going forward. That's stupid. I'm not saying that. I'm saying what happened right here in this match, they were buried in this match specifically. They won't be buried when you come to Monday Night Raw. I'm not saying that. I'm saying in particular, right here, they were buried. I did not like anything in regards to this finish. This was stupid. And you know, Randy and them are celebrating in the ring. There was one little spot in the match where Randy was kind of like he was gonna hit the RKO on Jey Uso, and Jey Uso and them and him make eye contact, and Randy's like, "You think I forgot? You think I forgot?" And Jay's like, he's apologized. He's like, I'm sorry." And like, you know, it looked like Damian Priest was gonna attack Randy from behind, and Jay saved him from that and hit him with a super kick, kind of showing like, "Hey, look, we're teammates. Like, the past was the past. The past was the past." But outside of that, there was really not necessarily any legitimate story per se that came out of this, in my opinion. You know, all the baby faces were all, you know, together, raising their fists in the air, and the logo came on, and honestly, I was coming out of this feeling incredibly underwhelmed. And then they show the logo on the screen. It looks like they're about to cut the feed, and a certain someone's theme song came on. I hear Living Color. I hear Cult of Personality. And lo and behold, look who it is. It's CM Punk. And you want to hear my honest thoughts about this? They didn't make a big deal out of it per se. CM Punk came out. He celebrated with the fans. The fans were chanting CM Punk throughout the entire night, and particularly towards this match also, even more so than Randy Orton. They were chanting CM Punk more than Orton's name. And Punk came out, and he's high-fiving the crowd. He's embracing the audience. He got one fan member, and he's like, "Whose town is this?" And the guy's retardedly going, Chicago, 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 Chicago. Like, you fucking Ritalin infected baby fucker. Like, shut up. You guys are gonna probably be like, Devontae, you're trying to be controversial for the sake of being controversial. I'm not. I promise you I'm not. I think CM Punk being back in WWE is not a bad thing, but at the same time, is this really a good thing? Now, it's not as if rumors haven't been circulating since August, September, since he left AEW, because we all knew Chicago was going to be in Survivor Series. The crowd tonight, would you necessarily call that a humongous CM Punk-esque type of pop? Hear me out when I say this. I feel as if even the crowd, he got a pop, he got a strong pop, the biggest pop of the night, no question. But compared to what he got in 2021 when he came back to AEW, it's not even remotely in comparison. And I'm not trying to be a fuddy-duddy here, because it's nice to see CM Punk back in WWE. And I'm going to be consistent when I say, as far as how I felt about him at AEW versus now, nothing ain't fucking changed. The only thing is I might appreciate him more because I feel WWE would do a better job at booking CM Punk. That's true. But you tell me, was Punk's return necessary? I want to know. Like, I'm asking, I'm engaging with you guys, because I know I'm going to get a lot of people who are going to probably be like, Devontae, you just hate CM Punk. You have a bias towards CM Punk. You're negative towards CM Punk. But I'm truthfully asking you guys to engage with what I'm asking right now. Was CM Punk really necessary in WWE right now? I get it. In the end of the day, it's Chicago. It's not as if you shouldn't have pulled this. It's not as if to say that CM Punk should not have returned. It's not to say that CM Punk doesn't have rivalries probably lined up by default. You know, the stuff that I know people have been clamoring to see CM Punk and Seth Rollins for the longest. CM Punk and Cody Rhodes can finally have their altercation. I mean, poor Cody Rhodes, right? He can't escape this guy. Every time CM Punk pops his head up, it's like he just completely undercuts Cody Rhodes, right? So poor Cody, right? He can't catch a break to save his fucking soul. And more importantly, I think if for anything out of this, I'm willing to be good faith and say and concede to this notion that CM Punk's return at the very least means that eventually, I would assume, you inevitably have to do the CM Punk versus Roman Reigns match, right? I think that's what everybody really, really wants to see, is CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. And make no mistake about it, I can say whatever I want to say about CM Punk, and the ratings will bear this going throughout the rest of the next couple of months or years. We will see how this resonates throughout the ratings. But CM Punk and Roman Reigns right now, by far, no question, will be the biggest box office sensation, arguably, since maybe Rock and Cena. I'm willing to concede to that. I'm willing to acknowledge that a lot of people want to see that match. But, and I'm going to go a little bit more thorough in an upcoming video, maybe tomorrow, maybe later on tonight. Are you willing to... Do you trust CM Punk? How do I say this without completely undercutting CM Punk? Because I want to give him a chance. I want to give him an opportunity. Do you trust CM Punk going forward to conduct himself in a professional manner where he doesn't undercut himself, where the matches that you're expecting to see you don't get because CM Punk has such a negative personality, negative energy, that he himself has already have a reputation in history to show that he will fuck everything up? Do you see in CM Punk him being ready to have the high caliber matches you would expect from WWE superstars to have in certain spots in certain situations? Now, the video that I'm going to talk about coming up with CM Punk, I'll let you know outright, will be somewhat positive and it will be somewhat negative, but the next video will be weighing the pros and cons in regards to what CM Punk brings to the table and what he doesn't bring to the table. I'm very 50-50 on this, but we'll talk more about CM Punk later on today. It's 12 o'clock midnight now. No, it's 11 o'clock, so probably later on tomorrow. And we'll flesh this out more in an open discussion in regards to that. But overall, for Survivor Series, this is a very mixed show for me. This is probably more good than it is bad, I'll say that. But a lot of these matches were disappointing. I wouldn't say the main event was incredibly disappointing, but even the mid-card matches, for the most part, did not really meet my desired expectations. And not to say that they were bad, but they just weren't there. They weren't good. This was easily... Last year's show was better than this show. I would definitely say this, which is weird because I feel like the opener was better than last year's opener with the women's WarGames match, and they had the best match of the night by far. It's not even fucking close. The women had the best match of the night, which is saying something because I was expecting it to be the reverse, right? So I would definitely say this year's Survivor Series, it was very mixed. I wouldn't say it was outright terrible, but it definitely wasn't something that I would say you have to go back and watch, honestly. You can watch clips. I put up a short with CM Punk. That's all you really need to watch, honestly, in the end of the day. Overall, this show, though, very mixed. I'll say that. But you can let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I felt that was pretty charitable to this show because I could have otherwise buried this. And to be quite frank, I liked the AEW pay-per-view last week. What was it called again? Full Gear. I like Full Gear more than I liked Survivor Series tonight. That's just my honest opinion. People can say what they want. They can shit on me. It is what it is, man. That's just my honest opinion, man. I thought Full Gear was better than Survivor Series, in my opinion. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If for nothing else, this is going to be a memorable show. I will say that they have that edge over AEW as far as Full Gear is considered. This is a way more memorable show. If for nothing else, the return of Randy Orton, which was kind of usurped by the return of CM Punk. We're 2 months shy of it being a decade since he was in WWE. But overall, this show, definitely mixed. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And yeah, that's it for Survivor Series, folks. Don't forget, I will be coming out later on with my thoughts on CM Punk, a more full, more well thought out video commentary on CM Punk. I need to digest this a little bit more. I need to think of more things in regards to whether or not this is negative or positive. As always, my name is Devontae, and I'll be catching you guys later. Deuces, P-Eyes.